For most dogs, finding a forever home is a dream come true. But for one little puppy named Benny, that dream seemed out of reach. No matter how many times he was adopted, he always ended up back at the shelter. The shelter staff at Golden Paws Rescue couldn't understand it. Benny was a sweet, loving golden retriever mix, barely 8 months old. He was playful, well-behaved, and got along with everyone, other dogs, children, even cats. Yet each time he found a home, he was returned within days, sometimes hours. The reasons varied. He won't stop barking, he refuses to sleep, he acts like he sees something we don't. Some adopters returned him, visibly shaken, unable to explain what had happened. At first, the staff brushed it off. Maybe Benny was just nervous in new environments, but after the 7th time, shelter worker Hannah decided to get to the bottom of it. One evening after the shelter had closed, Hannah sat in Benny's kennel, petting his golden fur as he rested his head on her lap. Hannah, Vo, what is it, buddy? Why doesn't anyone keep you? Benny's ears perked up. Then for the first time he let out a low, almost mournful growl, not at her, but at the empty doorway. Hannah turned, her heart skipping a beat. There was nothing there, just shadows cast by the dim shelter lights. Maybe she was imagining things, but then it happened again the next night, and the next. Each time Benny was alone, he would stare at something unseen, whining softly. He refused to sleep, constantly pacing as if waiting for something or someone. Determined to uncover the truth, Hannah took Benny home for the night. She set up a small camera in her living room, curious to see if his behavior continued outside the shelter. The footage the next morning sent chills down her spine. At exactly 2:17 a.m., Benny, who had been sleeping peacefully on the floor, suddenly sat up, his head snapped toward the hallway, his tail tucked between his legs. Then he did something unexpected. Instead of barking or running away, Benny wagged his tail. Slowly he crept forward as if greeting someone. He sat, looked up, and then he rolled over onto his back, exposing his belly, a sign of trust. Hannah watched in stunned silence. There was no one in the room, nothing. Yet Benny had acted like he was seeing someone familiar. The realization hit her like a freight train. Benny wasn't scared. He wasn't misbehaving. He was waiting for someone he loved. Hannah rushed back to the shelter, determined to trace Benny's past. That's when she discovered something shocking. Benny's original owner had been an elderly man named George Whitmore. He had adopted Benny as a tiny puppy and raised him with love. But one night, tragedy struck. George suffered a fatal heart attack. Benny had been found lying beside him, refusing to leave his side. When the paramedics arrived, they had to carry Benny out of the house because he wouldn't stop trying to wake his owner. Since then, Benny had been waiting for the only person he had ever known. Hannah's heart broke. This wasn't a disobedient dog. This was a loyal soul, longing for someone who would never return. Determined to help, she reached out to local nursing homes, hoping to find someone who might need a companion like Benny. That's when she met Walter, a retired war veteran who had recently lost his own dog. When Walter met Benny, something incredible happened. Benny, who had never fully settled with anyone since George, walked straight to Walter, tail wagging furiously. Then, just like in the video, he rolled onto his back, looking up at the old man with trusting eyes. "Well, now you remind me of an old friend." It was as if Benny had found his purpose again, and this time he wasn't going to be returned.